Okay, so getting into our coverage over Blood Hunt, we do pick up with another tie-in, and we pick up with Amazing Spider-Man number 49. Now, this will actually lead into another miniseries that is coming out very soon that will also tie into Blood Hunt as well. Now, when it comes to Amazing Spider-Man number 49, it does pick up after Blood Hunt number 1. Vampires are attacking everywhere. They are taking over the entire world. And when it comes to Spider-Man, unfortunately, the sun is not going to help them out at all. Because remember, back in Blood Hunt number 1, any character that had Dark Force powers were turned into some kind of portal to release Dark Force energy around the world to block out the sun, to give vampires the ability to walk around freely. And so Spider-Man must find another way to actually win. Now, while you have Spider-Man trying his best to be a hero, well, out of nowhere, he gets a text message from somebody. Now, it is an unknown number, but he feels like he knows this person somewhat well, to the point where he feels like it could be a friend and they might need some help, because right now the entire world is being attacked by vampires. Now, once you have Peter Parker arrive at the location, well, he comes to find out that it's not really a friend. Matter of fact, it's somebody known as Kareem. Now, Kareem is not really a big-time character in Marvel Comics. He only appeared a handful of times, but he's somebody who's always working for another villain known as White Rabbit. Now, that is a character that has been around for a very long time, but she's one of those goofy kind of characters who was kind of built off the idea of Alice in Wonderland. And matter of fact, when it came to her parents, they kind of made sure their child was very sheltered from the world, because their main goal was to make sure that she grew up as a proper lady. Now, that led down a dark path for her down the road, and that's not really something I want to get into. But when it comes to White Rabbit, apparently she was attacked by a vampire and turned into one. And so this is Kareem saying, listen, I know you and I are not technically friends, but after that time you saved me a couple years ago, or in our time, a few years ago, I kind of realized that you are somebody who's a true hero, that no matter what, you go out of your way to protect anybody, even if they're a criminal or not. And so this is him saying, you have to help out White Rabbit here. She turned into a vampire, but the only way to help her is to kill off the vampire that had turned her into a vampire. Now, for Peter Parker, that's a huge thing to ask for. You are talking about the idea of killing somebody off to save someone else. And for almost any hero besides the Punisher or like Wolverine, that's a lot to ask for. Now, we kind of find out that Kareem went out of his way to lock up both vampires, the one that had turned White Rabbit into a vampire, but to also lock her up as well, to make sure that neither one is able to escape, so that Spider-Man can actually help her. Now, when you have our two characters walk into the room, well, when it comes to Spider-Man, he has to go through White Rabbit first to get to the original vampire that had turned her into a vampire. And so their battle is honestly very short, because again, she's not the main goal at the moment. Like, he's here to save her, but he can't save her by fighting against her. And this kind of leads us into the sad moment of the book. And the reason why, because once you have Spider-Man find the original guy who had turned White Rabbit into a vampire, well, this is Spider-Man realizing that this other guy is just a regular guy. And matter of fact, he tells Peter Parker his story. The idea that he was just a regular guy that unfortunately had a bad run-in with somebody who was a vampire, who then turned him into a vampire. And over time, while turning into a vampire, he began to crave for blood. And so when White Rabbit came to him to take his money, the only thing he wanted to do was to bite her, because he knew that blood inside of her would taste very well for his new vampire side. And so he attacked her, which turned White Rabbit into a vampire. Now, for Peter Parker, he feels bad for this man. It's not like he's one of those other vampires out there who really tries to turn other people into vampires or just kill people for blood. This was just a regular guy who just had one bad day. But while you have the two characters talking, well, then out of nowhere, he is stabbed from behind by Kareem. Now, here's the thing, because with this guy now being dead, that means White Rabbit can turn back to normal. But we kind of find out that White Rabbit had also bit Kareem. And so he had no choice but to go ahead and kill off the regular guy to save his own life, but to also save his boss's life as well. Now for Peter, it's still a problem here because somebody died. Somebody he believes that he could have possibly saved, even though there's no actual proof that he actually could. But either way, he leaves. Now, when it comes to Peter Parker, he's also very upset about the idea that now he has to go back into the war against vampires. But now he has to sit there and be all like, you know what? I now have a huge problem because now I had to fight against an army of vampires, but some of those vampires were regular people who were just turned recently into vampires. Who knows what kind of people they were in their past? They could have been good people or bad people. Either way, their lives are now ruined because of this new war between good and evil. But the tail end of the book, we do see a return of an old classic Marvel character, and that would be the Lizard. And we're left to wonder where will this go next. But this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.